What's up, guys? I hope you're doing well. So this is some of the stuff that I really didn't know all too much about. Mostly just, especially with the stuff for non-college workers and how that was going. It's one of those. I mean, I just graduated from college, not even 5 months ago, maybe ended mid December or whatever. Um, and a lot of my friends were in college, but I also had a significant amount of friends out of college. So I'm not a very good anecdotal um, example of this because even my friends who were out of college, I mean, even the ones that are the same age as me, I mean, hell, they're making more than I am, or a lot of people um, that I know that went to college, but that's mostly just because they work in trades that pay a lot of money. Um, like oil. But anyways, so we'll head straight into the screen share, kind of going over a bit of the stuff. Because again, I didn't really know this, and also this is another one of the Fed's website things. Um, yeah. They also have a thing that I didn't know about, like community outreach or whatever, for jobs. I mean, I know they all have like community development programs. That's part of like one of I forget which regulation it is or whatever it is with the Fed, but they have those to where they do have and they have a lot of research too. Like actual, like you can get data and stuff from their website to where they do very specific like community development things, like projects and such, and go over it. And you can find those on their websites, and those are on the Reserve Bank websites themselves. So not like the Fed.gov one, but like this one. Right now, I'm on the Philadelphia Feds, right? And you can find stuff in one of these tabs. Here's theirs. I'm assuming community development. So um, all the Fed's websites are slightly different, I think. So I've only gone to a few of them because there is a lot of stuff on these things. And they all have slightly different research and community development stuff, and it's worth looking at if you're interested in it. Um, like I said, it really depends on the region and where they are and stuff like that. But anyways, and so one of the things I didn't know is like many prime age workers, and apparently even particularly men, especially men without college degrees, have dropped out of the labor force altogether. So they don't show up in the employment data. So basically, how the measure of unemployment goes, like the unemployment rate, if you're not technically in the labor force, which is like if you stop looking for a job for like 6 months or something, I think it is, then you're no longer trying to participate in the labor force. And I think you're also not in there if you have a part-time job only. Um, I don't remember if you have to be looking for a full-time job or if you're not in there regardless. But there's little nuances and stuff into like who's actually taken into account to where it's not really a full, like, the unemployment rate is everyone who's unemployed. No, it's not. And that's why you have like the labor force participation rate and other different indicators and pieces of data. Um, but they have this thing. It says Occupational Mobility Explorer. I just heard about this today. It says a big focus of our community development function at the Philadelphia Fed has been working to get more of these workers into what we call opportunity occupations, jobs that don't require a college degree and that pay above the median wage. I'm glad I reread that because the first time I read this, I went minimum wage, and I was like, okay. um, okay, median wage is a much bigger difference. I don't know what the median wage is, and I'm assuming this is based on the locale in which they are, because they talk about how you have to like put your location in, and they match it with something like. Here it gives an example. A bill collector, for instance, could become a credit counselor and enjoy a significant bump in pay in wages. And it's basically like apparently you're supposed to do this, and like it's supposed to tell you like what kind of training you can do, or like to give you training or a tool or whatever, so you can find a better paying job. Which I mean, hey, especially if they're like going to help you get the training or at least point you in the right direction. Cause like the whole reason, like your wage, in my opinion, your wage is kind of a direct reflection of the amount of value that you produce. Like if you don't really do anything, you shouldn't be getting paid a whole bunch. Um, but on the other hand, if you're doing a lot and you're producing a lot of value, then you should be compensated for it. That's the whole kind of idea behind that transaction of labor, right? Labor is a commodity too. Um, and so, yes, you're being hired by your business or by your employer, but like you're selling them your labor and your skills. And so, the more valuable your labor is, i.e., the more skills you have or the better you are with those skills, um, the more you should be compensated because you're more valuable. Um, So, especially like if they're gonna like point out the training, and so like what training you have and what opportunities there are, I think that's honestly probably a great thing. Um, so I kind of wanted to point that out. I haven't looked too much into it. Maybe it's not useful whatsoever. I don't know. Because I'm not looking for a. I mean, I have no reason to do it. One, I don't live up in Philadelphia, so I don't know if it's that specific to that region that Fed is a part of or what. Like I said, I haven't looked in much into it. I just kind of want to point it out because I thought it was interesting. It's cool. Definitely something to look into. But workers without college degrees are less likely to be able to work from home and were more likely to work in industries that were shut down um, because of the pandemic and such. And so that's why you saw a major hit with those, because the people who don't have a college degree um, work typically, not all the time, but they tend to work jobs to where you can't just work on it. You're not working on a computer, right? And so it's like you're physically doing something a lot of the times, which is not to say that's bad at all. It's absolutely necessary for society to function. You need those kind of peoples. And I mean, especially like with me, for example, I went from a physics degree, and because I'm young and I love real estate, and my whole point of if I'm going to have to get a job, I'm going to get something that I'm going to actually learn something, right? That pertains to what I want to do in my life. And so I've always loved real estate, and so I wanted to go into development, and I to get kind of a shoe-in thing and to actually get started and learn something that I had was completely clueless on. I joined a land surveying company, and so yeah. So I'm one of those people in jeans and work boots as well. Um, and so trust me, I'm not downplaying this whole like because technically you don't need a college degree for the position I got. It's just that my with my college degree, there's a lot more opportunity, I guess, and I could do stuff a lot quicker. Um, but trust me, I am not in the slightest downplaying the amount of work and how necessary that stuff is. Um, and honestly, if, in my opinion, if a person who downplays blue collar work should probably do it, because that's where my family comes from, and so I completely understand the dynamics behind that. Um, that's how I was raised. So it's definitely will make you see things in a different light if you have been. We'll go with cushioned from that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, and so another development they had was examining a data set of job postings. The Philadelphia Fed researchers identified another trend favorable to workers without a college degree. In particular, the minimum level of education required in the online job market fell modestly, even after controlling for the postings board occup. Okay, even after controlling for the postings as board, occupation, and sector classifications. In other words, some job postings that before the pandemic might have required a college degree no longer did. Um, so that too, more opportunities if that's so applicable. Just thought I'd point that out because it was pretty interesting. Definitely worth looking into, especially if that's something that would help. whatever your given situation is. I just kind of wanted to bring it up because I mean, there's a lot more to the Federal Reserve than people think. They're not just like someone who changes interest rates. Or ch- oof, that's a rabbit hole that I talk a lot about in other posts and stuff on how the Fed like actually affects interest rates and stuff because they don't directly, especially market interest rates. You have to remember there's a big difference between administered interest rates and market interest rates. Um, Technical differences, but anyways, without going too far into a rabbit hole, I just wanted to show that to you guys because I thought it was pretty interesting. And again, you can look at the Fed's website and explore it yourself. Pretty much all I started doing was I went to the Federal Reserve website, clicked on a section that it looked interesting, and started reading. And then it just kind of snowballs from there. But anyways, I hope you guys have a good night, and I'll see